When a good woman is hurt, something deep inside her shifts. She might not scream, she might not curse, and she might not throw blame, but she feels it all. She carries the pain silently, like a storm behind calm eyes. People may not even notice what she's going through because she's learned to smile while her heart aches. She breaks, but she doesn't stay broken. A good woman loves with everything she has. When she chooses someone, she does so with loyalty, prayer, and deep emotional investment. So when that trust is betrayed, it cuts her deeper than anyone can see. The betrayal isn't just about the lies or the disrespect. It's about the shattering of the future she envisioned, the prayers she whispered in the dark, and the belief she had in someone who didn't honor it. At first, she might try to fix things. She might question herself, wondering if she did something wrong. That's the kind of heart she has, always willing to carry responsibility, even when it's not hers. She'll cry in silence, pray harder, and give grace again and again, because that's what good women do. They hope, they endure, and they love past reason. But there comes a moment so quiet and sacred that she realizes she can't keep bleeding for someone who keeps cutting her. And that moment becomes her turning point. She doesn't get strong overnight. Healing for her is a process. It's messy. Some days she misses the man who hurt her, not because he deserved her love, but because her love was genuine. That kind of love doesn't disappear easily. She mourns the loss of what could have been. But in that mourning, something powerful starts to happen. She begins to see herself again, not through the lens of the pain, but through the eyes of the God who created her. God starts to minister to her heart in ways no man ever could. She begins to understand that her worth was never defined by how someone treated her. It was defined the moment God breathed life into her. Slowly, her tears become her prayers. Her silence becomes strength. Her heartbreak becomes holy ground, where God meets her and begins to rebuild what was broken. And as God restores her, he reveals to her the truth. She was never the weak one. Her love wasn't her downfall, it was her power. What the enemy tried to use to destroy her becomes the very thing that draws her closer to her purpose. She becomes more discerning, more powerful in prayer, more confident in her identity. She doesn't seek revenge because she knows God is her vindicator. She doesn't hold bitterness because forgiveness is her freedom. She walks away not in defeat, but in beauty. And the man who hurt her, he may realize what he lost when it's too late, because when a good woman walks away, she doesn't just leave the relationship, she takes her favor, her covering, and her prayers with her. And that absence speaks louder than any words ever could. She broke, yes, but she didn't stay broken. She rose again, not as the same woman, but as a healed, anointed, and empowered version of herself. A woman who knows her worth, walks in her calling, and lets God write the rest of her story. When a good woman is hurt, she doesn't always respond with words. She doesn't lash out or scream to prove a point. Instead, she pulls back, she gets quiet. And in that silence, there is a message louder than anything she could ever say. Because her silence isn't empty, it's full of meaning, full of boundaries, and full of strength. At first, you may not even notice it. She still smiles, she still serves, she still loves, but something has shifted. The woman who used to pour out her heart with ease begins to reserve it. She's still there, but she's no longer present in the same way. That silence, that quiet distance is her way of protecting her heart. It's her way of saying, I saw what you did, I felt what you didn't say, and I won't keep ignoring the truth just to keep peace. This kind of silence isn't passive, it's powerful. It's the moment when she stops fighting for someone who won't fight for her. It's when she realizes that her voice has been dismissed too many times, and now she lets her absence do the talking. That's when you know something sacred is happening inside her. She's not being cold, she's being wise. She's choosing peace over chaos and grace over argument. A good woman doesn't need to yell to be heard. She's not about drama, she's about discernment. And when she grows quiet, it's not because she's weak. It's because she's letting God speak for her. That silence becomes her surrender to him. She says less to the man who hurt her and more to the God who heals her. While others think she's pulling away, she's actually pressing into her faith, into clarity, into purpose. Sometimes the most dangerous thing a man can do is mistake her silence for indifference, because that's the stage when she's already halfway out the door. Emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. By the time she physically walks away, she's already made peace with the loss. She won't beg, she won't plead. She'll just walk quietly, yet completely. And here's the thing. When a good woman goes silent, she doesn't stop loving right away. Her heart still remembers the good. She still prays, she still hopes, but she also learns. She learns what not to tolerate. She learns how to guard her peace. And she learns that her worth was never meant to be proven. It was meant to be honored. Her silence is sacred. It's a holy place where healing begins, where God speaks gently to her soul, where she hears the truth clearly without the noise of confusion. And in that space, God reminds her, daughter, I see you. I've heard every cry you didn't say out loud, and I will restore everything you lost. So don't misread her silence. It's not bitterness, it's wisdom. It's not rejection, it's redirection. She's no longer trying to fix what keeps breaking her. She's allowing God to close the chapter that no longer serves her growth. And while it may look like she's retreating, she's actually rising. Quietly, powerfully, gracefully. There comes a moment in a good woman's life when she realizes that no matter how much love she gave, how much grace she extended, or how many prayers she whispered at night, the man she trusted chose to walk away. Not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. And in that space he left behind, in that deep ache of disappointment, something sacred happens, because that's exactly where God steps in. When a man stops showing up for her, when he stops listening, stops protecting her heart, stops being present, God doesn't just sit back and watch her suffer. He draws closer. He begins to fill the empty spaces that were once occupied by broken promises. He wipes the tears no one else saw. He mends the parts of her heart that she thought would stay shattered forever. God knows the pain of being overlooked. He knows what it feels like to be pushed aside, to be ignored, to be treated like an option. And so when a good woman goes through that kind of betrayal, he doesn't just sympathize, he redeems. He becomes everything the man failed to be: steady, faithful, and unchanging. At first, the woman may still be hoping for reconciliation. That's her heart, pure, forgiving, believing in people even when they give her every reason not to. But over time, God begins to show her that she doesn't need to keep holding on to someone who let go of her. He whispers to her spirit, you were never alone. I was always here, waiting for you to see me, to trust me, to let me love you the way you deserve. And that's when something shifts. She stops chasing validation. She stops lowering her standards just to be seen. Instead, she starts standing firm in her worth, rooted in God's promises. Her identity is no longer wrapped up in who left, but in the one who stayed. God begins to open her eyes. She sees the emotional neglect for what it was. She sees how she kept giving, hoping it would be enough. And now, instead of staying stuck in that cycle, she begins to heal. Not just because time passes, but because God's presence becomes her home. His word becomes her comfort. His love becomes her strength. And the beauty is, God doesn't just comfort her, he also restores her. He brings back the joy she lost. He renews her confidence. He lifts her head. And where there was once pain, now there's purpose. Where there was once silence, now there's strength. She starts walking with more peace, more clarity, and more authority because she knows who holds her heart now. And what about the man who stepped out? He may look back one day and realize what he left behind. But by then, she won't be the same woman waiting for him. She'll be the woman who let God step in, and when God steps in, he doesn't just take over, he transforms. So even if she cried alone, even if she felt forgotten, even if she questioned her worth, God was there, and he still is. He steps in where others step out. That's his nature. That's his love. That's her anchor. There's something powerful about the pain of a good woman. It doesn't just sit in her, it moves through her, shapes her, teaches her. She doesn't wear her pain like a badge of bitterness, but like a testimony of survival. When life hits her hard, when the man she trusted wounds her deeply, it doesn't destroy her spirit. It awakens something stronger. What was meant to break her becomes the very thing that builds her. Her pain, over time, becomes her platform. In the beginning, that pain is raw. It's quiet sobs into her pillow. It's unanswered questions in the middle of the night. It's showing up for others while no one shows up for her. It's loving deeply and getting little in return. But she doesn't let that pain harden her. She doesn't allow it to make her cold or numb. She carries it with grace, even when it feels heavy. And in that silent struggle, God is doing a hidden work in her. See, a good woman doesn't just endure pain, she transforms through it. She learns to pray deeper. She learns to speak to God more honestly. She learns to listen to his voice instead of the voices that failed her. Every tear she sheds waters something inside her, a vision, a purpose, a strength she didn't even know she had. And slowly, that pain begins to shift. It becomes wisdom. It becomes compassion. It becomes courage. What she once kept hidden in her private moments with God, she begins to share with others, not for sympathy, but to shine a light. She realizes that what almost destroyed her is now the very thing God is using to uplift someone else. Maybe she starts mentoring another woman going through heartbreak. Maybe she writes, speaks, prays, or simply lives with a new kind of boldness. People look at her and wonder how she's so strong. And they don't even realize it was the pain that built her foundation. She found purpose in what tried to break her. That's not weakness. That's divine transformation. Her story becomes her message. She doesn't pretend to have it all together. She's real. She's honest. And in that vulnerability, other women find healing too. She begins to see that what she went through wasn't in vain. God was molding her for something greater than just getting by. He was preparing her to rise, to lead, to speak life. And here's the truth. The enemy wanted her to stay silent, to stay wounded, to stay hidden in shame, but she refused. She refused to let one man's failure become her life's identity. She refused to let pain be the end of her story. Instead, she let God use it. She gave it back to him and said, if you can do something with this, I'm yours. And he did. Now, when she stands, she doesn't stand as a victim. She stands as a vessel. Her past is not her prison, it's her platform. It's how she lifts others. It's how she reminds women that healing is possible, that God restores what was lost, and that no pain is wasted in his hands. So when you see her now, glowing with purpose, walking in peace, carrying herself with quiet strength, know that it was pain that shaped that posture, but it was God who turned it into power. When a man hurts a good woman, he often doesn't realize in the moment what he's actually walking away from. He may think he's just ending a relationship, just pulling away, just doing what's best for him. But what he doesn't see right away is that he's losing something far greater than he understands. He's losing more than he knows. A good woman doesn't just bring love. She brings loyalty, prayer, and a covering. She's the kind of woman who will intercede for you when no one else does. She'll believe in you when you doubt yourself. She'll speak life into your dreams and stand beside you when life gets hard. And when a man takes that for granted, when he hurts her with neglect, betrayal, or indifference, he doesn't just wound her, he strips himself of the very blessing he once had. In the beginning, he may not feel it. He might even feel free, convinced that he made the right decision, or indifferent to her tears. But over time, reality comes knocking, because there's a certain kind of peace that only a good woman brings. A kind of home that can't be replaced with another body or another moment of distraction. She's not easily duplicated. Her heart, her spirit, her grace, it leaves a mark. The truth is, you can't measure her value until she's no longer there. And you don't recognize the warmth she gave until you feel the cold of her absence. When she walks away, she takes more than her physical presence. She takes her prayers, her encouragement, her softness, her constant belief in you. And that loss doesn't just hit the surface, it sinks deep. He may try to move on. He may try to fill the silence with noise, the emptiness with someone new. But there comes a day when he remembers the woman who stayed when things were hard, the one who never asked for perfection, just honesty, the one who gave and gave even when she was hurting. And that memory doesn't fade. It lingers. It echoes in the quiet moments when the world stops spinning and he's left alone with his thoughts. And by then, she's changed. She's grown. She's healed. She's no longer waiting for him to realize what he lost. She's walking in her worth now. She's found her voice, her peace, and her God. She's glowing in ways she never did before, not because she wasn't capable, but because she finally chose herself. That's when it truly hits him. That she wasn't just a chapter in his life. She was the covering, the blessing, the favor he took for granted. He thought he was walking away from a person, but he walked away from a destiny helper, from someone who could pray storms into peace and turn a house into a home. And that kind of loss, it doesn't go away easily. The irony is, the very thing he thought was ordinary was extraordinary. The love he overlooked was rare. And now, no matter how far he reaches, he can't grasp what he once had so easily in his hands. Because when a good woman finally lets go, it's not out of anger, it's out of clarity. And her absence becomes the loudest reminder of what he lost. When a good woman is hurt, it may feel like the end of a chapter. She may wonder if she'll ever fully recover, if she'll ever be the same, or if the wounds will ever completely heal. But here's the thing about a good woman. What seems like the breaking of her is actually the beginning of something new. She grows in grace and glows in power in ways she never expected. In the aftermath of pain, it's easy to feel defeated. She may cry, she may grieve, and she may doubt. But through that process, God works in her heart, teaching her things she would never have learned without the hurt. He shows her the depths of her own resilience, the beauty of forgiveness, and the power of letting go of what no longer serves her. In the pain, she doesn't become bitter, she becomes stronger, more rooted in who she is and in who God says she is. She grows in grace because she learns how to forgive, not just for the sake of others, but for her own peace. She learns that forgiveness isn't a gift to the person who hurt her, it's a gift she gives herself. She realizes that holding on to bitterness only keeps her tied to the past, while grace allows her to walk forward with freedom. And the more she forgives, the more she understands how much grace God has extended to her throughout her life. Her ability to forgive others, even when it's hard, becomes a reflection of the grace she's been shown. But as she grows in grace, she also begins to glow in power. This power is not loud or boastful. It's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing who you are, knowing that you are enough, and knowing that your worth is not dependent on how someone else treats you. It's the power that comes from standing firm in your identity despite the pain. It's the strength to keep moving forward even when you've been knocked down, knowing that God has already equipped you to rise again. Its power doesn't come from pride. It comes from humility. It comes from knowing that even though she may have been hurt, she is still God's masterpiece, chosen, loved, and empowered for a purpose. She realizes that her story isn't defined by someone else's actions, but by how she responds to God's calling on her life. She doesn't need validation from others because she knows she has been validated by her Creator. As she grows, She becomes more compassionate. She sees the world through a lens of empathy, understanding that everyone has their battles. She uses her pain to lift others up, to be a light for those who are struggling. Her story becomes a beacon of hope for those who feel like they're too broken to heal, too lost to find their way. And in the process, she discovers her own strength, the strength that comes from knowing that God's power is made perfect in her weakness. The woman who was once broken is now walking in purpose. She glows with a light that can't be dimmed by the actions of others. She no longer defines herself by what was taken from her, but by what she's gaining: peace, strength, and a deep sense of worth that is rooted in who God says she is. And because of that, she walks in power, a power that flows from her ability to rise, to forgive, and to grow in the grace that God gives her daily. She's no longer the woman who used to cry in silence. She's the woman who now uses her voice to speak life, to encourage, to lead, and to inspire others. She's a woman who has been through the fire and emerged refined, stronger, and more beautiful in ways that only pain and grace could create. And as she grows in grace and glows in power, she becomes a testament to the fact that nothing, not even the deepest hurt, can diminish the beauty and strength that lies within.